Some things don't want to be seen, but they still show up. In a flicker of motion at the edge of a stairwell, in the sound of knuckles tapping from inside the walls, in a face that looks familiar until it doesn't. You tell yourself it's nothing, a draft, a dream, old wiring. But what if it isn't? What if that shadow you all saw wasn't a trick of the light? What if the alarm that won't stop isn't broken, but trying to warn you? Tonight, the stories are quiet, but they don't stay that way. They reach, they follow, they watch. And after the intro, we listen. We are returning to something we haven't done in what feels like forever. I mean, I guess the listener story episode kind of counts, but we're returning to just a full-on stories episode. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've launched one of those bad boys out. We've been getting into the juicy details, the hot goss and the juicy deets of all kinds of stuff over the last few months. But I was like, you know what? No, we got to bring it back to our roots, not the movie. I know you're thinking that.
A black.
It's not that time. It's not that time.
That's next week.
That is next week. You're right. And we'll find out about all that and more at 11. We'll see you on the inside.
You are now entering the realm of the freaky deaky, an unsuspecting stop at the crossroads of fantasy and reality, where the frayed edges of make-believe seep into this cookie-cutter white picket world you've been led to believe is far from extraordinary. What you're about to hear are true stories.
Alleged true stories.
Christian, just... okay? Tales of the strange and inexplicable thought only to exist in film and folklore. Although difficult to accept, we do not know everything about this reality. About time or space, what lies beneath the ocean's depths. And try though we might, the unchanging truth remains. There are some things we legitimately cannot explain logically.
Folks, welcome back to the Frinkity Dinkity. My name is Scott, and I'm joined, as always, each and every damn week by my father-in-law, the wettest of blankets, Christian.
I'm dry today. It's warm.
It is a little too warm, some might say.
It's not like it was in Colorado or California a couple weeks ago.
That is very true. And you keep, every single episode, you find a way to, date us, because that was essentially 2 months ago by the time this comes out, A couple weeks ago, they're like, oh, you went back to California and Colorado? Oh,
most of our listeners understand how we talk. The new ones will understand soon.
Wow. It's almost impressive that, without even trying somehow, you say a sentence that is like, oh, this is a date in time. Remember this.
I'm like a dog. I live in the moment.
You're like a dog for other reasons, Christian, too. You know what I mean?
I told you a story earlier that proves I'm not a dog. I wanted to think about my raw meat.
Interesting. It's fine, everyone. Welcome back to the show. We are stoked to be here with you once again on this beautiful Thursday. I am thrilled to announce that by the time this episode comes out, sticker packs are available. Not just available, they're amazing. And you should get one, or 2, or 10. You should also check out the new merch drop that is available at thefreakydeaky.com. We're always kind of updating things, and I'm actually thinking about starting kind of a design of the month program type thing where you get these kind of limited edition things that we release for a month and then shut it off, throw it in the vault forever. You know what I mean? Just to keep the designs fresh. Your boy gets pretty bored, and I like to mix things up from time to time. So be sure to check that out. Follow us on social media at Freaky Deaky Pod, pretty much wherever you are at. We are at that as well. We do appreciate all the kind words. And just getting to know you guys, chatting it up in the Facebook group, which is also available, if you can believe it, on Facebook. Be sure to leave a 5-star review wherever you are listening to the show. It really does help us grow things out. So if you can't support the show financially, you can do so with the written word via the magic of your thumbs and or keyboard. So do that.
We'll take your favorite stock picks, too. I will.
Christian will. And that's about all of that. So without further ado, it's time to get into this episode. And we're starting things off with a little story I like to call somewhat alarming. That's by ISDM 27. Daddy's going to get some coconut water real quick. Nothing quite like room temperature coconut water. This might have been a mistake. It's fine. I once house sat a very old manor home that was near the Mason-Dixon line. This location becomes important later in the story. Wow, spoilers. Built in the mid-1700s. Like a lot of houses that old, it had a root cellar, sub-basement deep under the house that was used for food storage back in the day, and I always just got the weirdest and most foreboding feeling walking past the door leading down to it. never actually went down there. It was a very big house that had many additions put on over the years, so it had multiple alarm systems. And one night, the alarm system in the original part of the house, where the door to the root cellar was, would not stop going off. I probably got out of bed 7 or 8 times to enter the code to turn it off that night. It was an older alarm system, so I figured probably old wiring or a part going bad or something, and didn't think much of it, other than being annoyed that it kept waking me up. When the family got back from vacation, I told the father about the night the alarm kept going off, and he looked very puzzled. He told me that had never happened before in the several decades they had lived there, and even weirder because it was an older alarm system, and in that part of the house, all of the alarms were motion activated. I later found out the house was right down the street from a Quaker meeting house in an area with a high Quaker population that was well known for its role in the Underground Railroad. Families in that area would routinely let people escaping slavery hide in their root cellars and sub-basements. My family is ancestrally Quaker, and the family who lived there was not. Still kind of gives me chills thinking about it. That's kind of interesting. A nice little historical haunt from the glory days.
Quakers.
Featuring
A black.
ghost, probably.
Multiple.
Multiple, even.
That's actually the area that my mom is from. That area.
Did she harbor
A black. Eventually she did.
I see what
For
you're
a
saying.
few years.
Yeah.
And
Is that how you came along?
that is how I came along.
Interesting. Get more of those juicy deets later, don't worry. So what do you think about that? That's pretty interesting. Anytime there's like alarms that go off, if you can obviously do the legwork, making sure that it's not just, there's a spider web that was motion sensitive, like, something random that was triggering it. But in this case, I'm like, I don't know. Might have been the slaves.
Or a Quaker that helped the slaves.
I can't ever hear the word Quaker without thinking of oatmeal.
I mean, that's a image of a Quaker right on the front of the box.
It is, but he looks too mischievous,
I mean, to me, that's what the Quakers sound like.
It's all the hidden preservatives in there, no doubt.
Could be. But the Quakers were kind of going against the grain at the time.
With the oat, no doubt.
Yeah, so
Down with grain, up with oat. Hopefully oat. Is oat a grain? Is oatmeal a grain?
I believe so. I'm not an expert on food, but
It doesn't work. The joke doesn't work, everyone.
bad science.
I tried. It's fine. It's fine. Obviously, I'm not a health expert.
Bad science. That's what the believers always bring to me.
That's weird. You were telling me earlier all they brought was...
A black.
That's fine.
That's not my favorite button.
You don't say. Well, it's amongst pretty much more of your not favorite buttons,
Someone's got to do it.
And that someone is me.
And using that button on this day of all days, which I cannot say what day
I know,
it is.
yeah, you really want to date us again.
Because Scott just lectured me for dating us.
Yeah, well, can you imagine listening to like a brand new episode and then someone was like, this came out on Christmas Eve. And you're like, what the fuck? It's August, You'd be like, how far ahead are you guys? And obviously a lot of like new listeners and stuff don't understand the recording schedule. And on top of my already just wild and out there schedule. So like it has to be this way to make everything work.
Sometimes I think I don't have like the wild schedule you have, but then sometimes I'm like, I really am constantly doing stuff, moving around, working, hanging out with the little one.
Sure. All of which I would trade an instant. I would give you every single piece of editing, every single piece of post-production design, all that. I would give you all of it to just chill in the backyard and, well, he is exhausting. I'll say that. I'll give you half of it. How's that? I need some quiet time for myself. But yeah, all the same, the schedule is chaotic, however you slice it. So
until we're rich,
which hasn't happened, guys. We've been doing this show for way too many years, and it hasn't happened. I'm still not in a mansion. Weird. What happened? I thought talking about spooky ghosts is how you get there. And
we don't need to be in a mansion.
That's what your daughter says, and both of you guys are wrong.
We just need to be in a place where we are comfortable and nobody else is our boss.
No, I need to be in a mansion so that no one can call me from the other room, and I have an excuse to be like, I didn't hear you. I was 18 rooms over. Anytime I so much as step foot anywhere in this house when both of them are, Dada, babe, hey, babe, Dada.
Yeah,
nonstop.
I don't want you to have a mansion.
I want a mansion. I need alone time. I need quiet me time, and I have not gotten that in many moons.
Well, if something breaks, I ain't helping you with it. We just fixed a room last week. That was in the other end of the hall, like a quarter mile away. We need to fix this room now.
If you have a mansion, you have the moolah to call someone down, you know?
Theoretically.
In theory, yes. In this economy, there's no saying really. It's fine. Anyway, we're going to get to this next one. It's clearly going to be Christian's favorite. It's called the 4-way shared hallucination.
It happens.
And it doesn't. And it's by Fallen Coward 1225. My family and I returned home from our vacation, and it was late at night. We were unloading the car and in different places in our front yard. I was on our porch, and my husband and 2 children were in the process of getting bags from the car in our driveway when our dog started to bark. I just want to take a beat. Notice that the husband and the kids are unloading all the bags, and she's just kicking it on the porch, you know?
Yeah.
I just want everyone to notice that. I want everyone to pay attention to that.
That's the way it goes.
That is not the way it should go, though, if you want equality, okay? If you think you're equal, then put the effort in.
I'd like to understand. Here's what I don't understand is you think this is an equality issue. Maybe she has a broken foot. There's nothing else in the story.
Mention of it.
Yeah, that's fine.
You're making assumptions based on.
You're making assumptions.
I'm making assumptions based on how everything has ever worked for all of history. So that's the basis that I'm putting my claim down. You're just saying, well, maybe there's a possibility, you know, and that's not true. We all know. She was just like, yeah, you carry the 15,000 bags that I packed, and yeah, get the little munchkins to do it too. I'm going to sit up here on the porch till you guys are done. That's not equality. So if you want equality, then get your ass down there and pick up a damn bag, you know? I'm throwing it out there. And maybe this isn't the show for it. But
I'm throwing it out there that maybe she was the one who went to the store and everybody else is on. See, you're assuming something about her.
No, she didn't go to it. They just got back from vacation. They were unloading the car. There was no store. There was no nothing.
I think you're worried about
something. If anything, he was probably more tired because he was lugging all the bags all over the place, puts them in the car, and then drives all that way with kids screaming at him in the back seat, gets out, and the wife's like, I'm so tired. I'm going to go stand on the porch. And then all the kids and the husband have to get the bags. You know, it's just completely
unfair. I don't see
unfair.
a problem with it.
I know you don't because
But also, I think you're confused on what show this is. This isn't the ranting show.
Well, it is, but it's a different kind of ranting show, and it's fine. I'm not confused. And there's at least 4 people out there, probably even a couple women that are like, you know what, he's kind of right about it. You know, he's kind of right about it.
Victims.
Wow. Christian, I know you're a raging feminist, but sometimes I can be right about things, and you can also back up the homeboys from time to time.
You could be right about this, but you also could be wrong.
No, there's a 0% chance. I'm a hill I die on. I'm 100% right about this.
I'm the only Leo in here. So I'm the only one that's right all the time.
Wow. See, and that alone means you're wrong constantly.
I am wrong.
Beautiful that it was on the same board. Perfect. Anyway, so the wife is just being lazy as fuck on the porch, and the husband is working his balls to the bone. That's not how that sentence goes, but it's fine. So the dog started to bark. We all simultaneously looked towards him, and then in the direction of his view, we all 4 very clearly saw a shadow figure of what appeared to be an old man in a hat. Kind of like a railroad conductor vibe, walking from the front of our yard to the back. Our dog followed, but would not go into the dark backyard. We all just looked at each other like, WTF? And we all agree on the details. I did my own lighting tests, quote unquote, to see if we had actually seen a real shadow of someone, but the lighting and the position/location where this took place were not in alignment for that. 4 people. We all saw the same exact thing.
4 people, 1 dog. And also balls don't have bones. So that earlier phrase. Exactly.
I corrected that myself after I said it.
Didn't even catch on to it until you said that. And I'm like, wait
a second. Balls don't have bones. And hey, first of all, balls could have bones.
If you had a horrible accident for some reason.
No, we've thrown biology out the window for the last few years. Balls can do. If I want my balls to have bones, guess what? They got bones. Okay. Anyway, let's continue.
Interesting, the dog picked up on whatever they were seeing.
The dog was the one that alarmed them of it.
Correct.
But my question, I guess, because if this is nighttime, right, and you see a shadow walking across your yard, and granted, could it be a person? Yeah. And you're just like, maybe it's up against some kind of light source. Does that shadow have a shadow?
It's just a shadow.
Is it? But you know what I mean? Like, is it walking on like the grass or something like that, and there's no shadow underneath it, and it's just a random shadow?
I feel like when people are slightly startled or surprised, they get really focused on the figure and probably would only remember a shadow under hypnosis, and that would be questionable at that point because hypnosis,
so you're saying
regression is kind of not always what it should be.
Sure.
So,
You can be led with that though too, right?
what do you mean?
You can kind of like be tricked into false memories or something like that with that type of stuff, right?
That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay,
Is
yeah.
depending on how it's done, you could be, those false memories could be installed like they were during the satanic panic back in the 80s.
Yes, the old satanic panic back in the 80s. Gotta love it.
I lived through it.
I know.
Couldn't even listen to heavy metal music without feeling guilty.
Yeah.
Had to turn it down when I went by the church.
I could listen. There was a loophole for me because there's plenty of Christian heavy metal bands.
Not good ones, though.
No, that's where you're wrong, dude. Surprisingly,
Okay.
there's a lot of crazy good.
No, I've listened to plenty.
I doubt if you could name like two.
I probably couldn't. Jars of Clay, not good.
Definitely not heavy metal either.
I know. The only ones like POD, not heavy metal. Close, though. Closer.
Yeah, heavy metal. Like POD was like stupid arena rock. I couldn't.
Striper.
I couldn't really. There you go. Yeah. No,
I mean, I'm sure there's some good songs out there.
not just songs. Great bands, like full on great bands that it kind of permeated into mainstream music because they were that good.
And if they were from like the 80s and 90s, I probably heard of them if they got even somewhat popular or
Yeah.
mainstream, but I can't think of the names right
Like
now.
there's good like Christian screamo and stuff like that. Like I mean, look at like Under Oath back in the day. Now they're not Christian anymore, or maybe some of the members are, but Spencer or not Spencer. Or maybe it is Spencer. I can't remember. Whoever's the singer or screamer in that band, he's like anti-God now.
Well, you can't be a Spencer and believe in God. It's just a fact.
That's kind of true. But like he's got like edgelord vibes now in the lyrics. Like they're still making music. I had no idea. I randomly stumbled across it and I saw an F bomb in their songs. I'm like, well, what the fuck? It's like Christians don't say fuck. And then I was like looking in the mirror.
A lot
like,
of them
but
do.
sometimes
Yeah.
they do.
Yeah.
Sometimes we all fall short of the glory of God. All right, that's what I've heard.
I
and
feel
that's
like
what I
I've
repeat too
lectured you
often.
on your mouth once or twice on the show.
Probably not. No,
Or
I
I've
go
said-
through phases. I need to get back into it because I was like doing really good, and then all the chaos with the going on vacation and stuff like that, like just everything just spiraled out of control, and I need to get back into the good graces, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So all prayers are welcome, friends out there. I know y'all are keeping your boy in your thoughts and prayers, and that is appreciated. And don't give up on me, all right? There's still time. Anyway, I think I want to hear what everyone else thinks about this weird conductor shadow dude.
I think it's I think it's funny you like mentioned it. What was the title of it? Of this story?
Oh, yeah, I named it the 4-way shared hallucination.
This one doesn't feel like an hallucination.
I forced you into saying that by naming it that.
Okay.
I was honestly gonna name this entire episode, and I still might. The tentative title is TFD's Spooky Ghost Variety Hour, now with even more shared hallucinations. But that's a very wordy title.
That is.
So maybe I'll just put the shared hallucinations episode, and everyone will be like, "What? I thought there was no documented cases." And I'll be like, "Yeah, that's the joke, everyone."
There's no documented cases of demons or ghosts or
Actually,
Bigfoot.
there's a lot of documented cases. There's just not.
It's about as documented as shared hallucinations.
No, it's more documented. It's just not provable, is what I'm saying. There's no actual documented thing being like, "Oh, this was a shared hallucination."
And you're speaking to a guy that has shared an hallucination. I feel like I told that story
you've
recently.
told it like in the last 3 episodes. I want to say each episode you've mentioned it at some point. And every time I have to remind myself, like, what? And I'm like, oh, yeah. The guy who was standing over you or something like that.
Something was
Intimidating.
standing over me. You don't open your eyes right there. A black.
Could have been.
No, he was laying on the floor right over there, having the same hallucination.
No, it's the fun stuff. Speaking of a black, this next story, great segue, Scott. Great segue, is called The Twisty Black Shadow, and it's by Mermaid Light. No, wow, Mermaid Tail. Mermaid Light? Am I dyslexic? Oh my God.
You just can't read.
It's all ending for me.
Homeschool education didn't teach you to read.
Boy, I'll tell you what, my homeschool education...
You can't have a black button and call me boy.
I'll tell you what, dude. All right. I read and speak better than anyone in my graduating class. I promise you. All right. I've seen plenty of them. All right. If you're out there listening, I doubt it because I don't share this with people that I used to know. Somebody that you... No, I'm not going to get into that. It's fine. I promise you, being homeschooled has done more for my creativity than anything else. And that includes writing. And that includes...
I'm not going to knock you on some of that because...
You can't knock me on any of it. It's actual fact. Math,
School
not so great.
degrades your creativity.
It does. It really does.
And by design.
By design.
Creative people are rebels.
And sometimes it works out for people. Other times they just spend the rest of their adult life depressed. But that's a story for another time. The story for this time is the Twisty Black Shadow, and it's by Mermaid Tale. Got it right that time. Are you happy?
Somewhat.
I live in an apartment building that was a hotel in the 1920s. Hell yeah. My apartment faces the back stairwell. I almost said black, oopsie. And when I first moved in, I would see a black, twisty, imagine a scarf blowing in the wind type thing at the top of the stairs. Saw it like 3 or 4 times, dismissed it as shadow, but had a weird feeling. A friend came over, never told him anything, and as we were leaving and walking down the hallway to the other end, not the back stairwell, he says to me, "You've got shadow people here." Man, I wish I had these friends. Where were these friends growing up for me? When we're just walking, it's like, "Hey, bro, a ghost." And I'm like, "Oh my God, you believe too?" That's what what do you call it? Folia do? Is that what you're...
If you want to hang out with people that believe in ghosts, you got to hang out with them annoying ghost hunters.
No, see, there's a really nice distinction between those people, and I do mean those people, and then just random weirdos. Like, we've kind of cultivated a group of random weirdos with our, especially the Facebook group is full of people that are just like, "Hey, I'm weird, I'm here, what are we going to do about it?" You know? And I would hang out with every single person in that Facebook group.
Me too.
Every single person. So, and we're going to make that happen at some point. It might take another 15 to 20 years. We're all going to be elderly. Christian's going to be deceased and talking through a spirit box, but we'll make it happen.
Hey, you know,
wait, 15, 20 years isn't too, that's not.
I still plan to be here, man.
Okay. Most of our audience will be deceased because it's the Butterscotch Gang, as you know. And apologies to all of you, those that are with us in spirit and in physical form. We will meet up with you. It'll be a lot easier for you if you're in a spiritual form because you can just come and, you know, wherever we're at, you are also at that. It's fine. We'll figure out the logistics later, guys. I'm going to go ahead and finish the story out. Anyway, the dude said, "You've got shadow people here, bro." Didn't say bro, I added that. I had my head down, putting my keys in my bag, and missed it. He said he saw a shadow person walk from the elevator to the stairwell directly across from each other. I've also caught glimpses of like the lower half of a shadow person walking into the back stairwell, like they are walking and you catch a glimpse. Anyway, met a neighbor not long after moving in, after all these sightings, in quotes, and said, "I'm not crazy, but do you ever see odd things in this building?" He straight up says, "Oh, you mean the black twisty shadow thing at the top of the stairs?" I was like, and then it's the eyes emoji, like classic stuff for an audio podcast. Not scary, but I did feel a bit validated that I wasn't the only one seeing things.
Validation makes the believers happy.
It really does. It's because it's few and far between. You know, you see something, you're like, "Oh, I guess everyone's going to think I'm crazy," you know?
See, I feel like nowadays that's not quite the case. Maybe 10, 20, 30, and all the years before that, maybe it was, but now with social media and everybody posting these fake ass videos of Bigfoot and ghost, it's just more acceptable now.
You would think it might be more acceptable, but it's still taboo. You know what I mean? It's still got like this tainted reputation because if you were, let's say you go into your professional office, right? Let's say you're a manager somewhere. And, "Hey, Greg, how was your weekend?" You're like, "Well, there's a fucking ghost in my house." They're like, "Yep, gotta fire Greg. Gotta fire Greg. He's clearly lost his marbles." You know what I mean? Like, these aren't things you can just, these are things you have to bring up with people that you care about. Or if you're an open book like me, to random strangers at Fred Meyer. And if not, if you keep it or you spread it or say it to someone that you're not supposed to, then immediately you get that look from people like, oh, it's a nut job. Had no idea, you know?
I don't ever get that look. But also, I'm like, that shit's crap. It's not real.
Yeah.
We had a listener at Fred Meyer.
Who?
Christina.
Hello, Christina. I see you've traveled from Canada and now stalk us from the local Fred Meyer.
It's different. It's a different Christina, but I might be driving through Canada. I may have to have coffee with somebody else.
There you go. Canadian listeners, hit up Christian. I know a lot of you are hot for him. This might be your opportunity.
I don't want to, like, maybe they just want to have coffee. Maybe
pour yourself out for once, Christian. Enjoy your time driving through Canada, you know?
That's a good point.
That is a good point, man. That's all I make on this podcast. I'm glad you're finally coming around.
But I'm a Christian. I can't do that.
Who was it? I think it was Nick Thune. Someone was saying that they have a set list of reactions to certain things or responses to certain things. One of them was, "I can't, I'm a Christian." Like, so if someone asks you if you want to go out for coffee or something, like, "Oh, I can't, I'm a Christian." You know, something that is completely, they're like, "What?"
Who's Nick Thune?
He's a comedian, musical comedian, actually.
Okay.
One of the few good musical comedians, I will say that.
The other one's not good?
Most of them suck. Yeah.
I can't think of his name right now.
Are you thinking Bo Burnham?
Yeah.
No, Bo Burnham is number one.
That's what I was going to say.
List.
I was like,
Nick Thune is hilarious because he does a lot of like I'm not going to get into it. It's fine. Go listen to Nick Thune. If you're having a crappy day like your boy, go listen to Nick Thune. Enjoy yourself. And also, if you're having just one of those days, leave a comment of a banana emoji.
One of those days.
Just one of those days.
Everything. Oh, sorry. I won't go into
You
the
sound
song.
like your daughter. See, this is why I don't speak out when I'm having rough days, because everyone's like, oh, well, you're always having a rough day, you stupid little bitch.
That's
I'm
not
like,
what
well,
I was. I was going to go with the Limp Bizkit song, Break Stuff.
Mm-hmm. No. Mm-hmm. No.
Really, I was. I just lost the words for a minute, even though I hear it like every other day at work.
You guys got some weird playlists going on with that.
No, just you see when I
Dad
get
rock and Limp Bizkit, or is Limp Bizkit considered dad rock?
I think it's considered divorced dad rock now. I think it's on that playlist. You know what else is on that fucking playlist a lot?
Nonstop Creed,
Yeah.
obviously. Okay, guys, I don't know. I didn't even ask you what you thought about the Twisty black scarf ghost, but I think I know your answer.
I feel like if they're seeing something, it's not your typical image, so maybe they're not able to see
The
it.
dancing ghost just up there, like.
And I think I've talked about it before. Sometimes if we see things we don't understand, we're not going to put it together in our brain correctly. Like if it's way out there. So whatever this is, maybe it doesn't have a proper form. So it just is twisty in there.
It's just an ethereal, amorphous blob at
Which
the top
makes
of the
sense
stairs.
in a lot of ways to me. You know, other than the woman in white kind of crap or Hat Man, sometimes seeing something and it making no sense and not really having a shape would fit more of an ethereal image to me. If you see something like that, some of our brains are going to put a person in there.
Tell your doctor. No, it's fine. Some of our brains are going to put scarves, and some of our brains are going to put
a black.
What can you do? What can you do?
I
I'm gonna
mean,
get
you could
canceled
start
so
off by
fast.
not being racist.
I know, but see, would a racist have a button on a soundboard like that, or would it be a different word? You think?
I'm going to tell you in next week's episode.
You will
about a phone line, and I don't want to say it here, but there's
should I push the button again?
you're going to have, like, I would cut back on pushing it because you might need to push it next week.
People are going to be worn out by next week. They're going to be like, "Oh, I've heard about all the blacks. God damn it!" Yeah,
But it's like one of those 1-800 numbers, but it's going to be, I don't know how to, when I first heard about it, I was like, what the hell? And then I laughed, which probably didn't help the racists that much, but
wow,
racists don't like to be laughed at.
wow, Christian just belittling racists.
I mean,
Is this where we're at now?
I don't feel like I'm belittling them. It's just sometimes there's humor in the way people act.
Okay. If that's what you want to say. Wow, your boy really went balls to the wall with the stories. Or the tangents, turns out. I think we slowly just incorporate more and more tangents into this show so that the people that absolutely hate them just fuck off, and then everyone that's like, hey, let's just have a funky good time, huh? Can we have a funky, freaky good time? Well, it sounds a little sexual.
I don't feel like I go too crazy on tangents.
You'd be surprised. No, it's not the tangents for you so much. Oh, sometimes it is.
Sometimes I trigger your tangents, though.
Intentionally, but also for you it's the introductions. For you it's, can we start an episode without you talking for 25 minutes before we get to the intro music?
Maybe I like
Because
to talk
you're
to
chatty.
you.
You're very chatty, and you say that every time, and I know it's not the case. I know it's not the case, but you're very chatty, and so you got to warm yourself up a little bit.
That is probably true.
Warm yourself up. It's fine. It's fine. Our listeners will suffer after the outro, obviously.
That's why eventually we got to have something to where people can comment and talk to us as we're recording.
I think that's what the Butterscotch Gang is going to be. That should just be a live show, is where people can just, we'll do that on like a Patreon or some shit and just do live shows with people. And we just call that the Butterscotch Gang, unedited, just being weird as we do.
That's where I'm at my best.
Okay. We can let the people decide that for themselves. That's where I'm at my worst. I need things to be, I'm very off the wall, but I need some kind of structure, maybe I don't. Who cares?
We're going to find out
at 11. Anyway, this next story.
We already have a story at 11. We got to wait till 11:15 after the first commercial break.
Okie doke. This next story is called Knock, Knock, Knocking on This Guy's Wall. And it's by that dinosaur guy for real.
I'm already annoyed.
Because of the song choice?
No. Because I have a neighbor upstairs that was annoying the crap out of me last night.
Maybe it wasn't a neighbor upstairs.
No, because I've been hearing this for a long time, And I finally just got annoyed, and I was like, what can I hit the ceiling with? I used a marble.
You used a sock.
No, I used
Damn
a
it,
marble.
that didn't work.
Like, what the hell are they rolling around on those hardwood floors at 11:30 at night upstairs? It better be that baby in a frickin' walker, and what's it doing up at 11:30, if it is?
Well, but sometimes, I don't know if I need to share this with you, Christian, sometimes babies wake up. Okay.
I don't know if I need to share this with you back. I've had babies, and I know this.
I know, but you didn't think that maybe you were like, why would a baby be awake at 11:30? So I had to remind you, it's been what, 6 centuries since you had a child?
Why is a baby going back and forth on an upstairs hardwood floor in a walker or whatever it is? It could just be a lazy ass person in a desk chair. I don't know, but I had a Scott moment last night.
Oh yeah,
So-
did you lose your shit? Wow. Well, I'll help you find it. No, it's fine. Stanley reference. Anyway, knocking on this guy's wall. By that dinosaur guy for real. I've been very on the fence with the belief in the paranormal, but I tend to lean on the believer's side. I've had a lot of odd experiences in my house that I can't explain logically. The most recent notable one happened around August of 2022. I was laying in bed on a Saturday morning and had been woken up at about 8 in the morning. What woke me up was a very loud hammering sound coming from the wall to the left of my bed. Because that wall faces outside the house, I figured it was someone outside just being obnoxious and hammering early in the morning. It would be 8 bangs and then it would stop and repeat. The sound sounded like it was hitting the wall, but I thought that was just a trick of the sound or something. I rolled over trying to ignore all the banging, and after 5 minutes or so, it suddenly stopped. I was ready to try and go back to sleep, but then the banging started again, about 30 seconds after.
Did he leave his OnlyFans account open or something?
Wow. Disgusting. Not on this show, Christian. How dare you? Except this time the sound moved. It was now just as loud, coming from the wall in front of the foot of my bed, which does not connect to the outside, but rather in between my room and my sister's room. I thought maybe my sister was playing a trick, but why would she be up at 8 in the morning knocking on the wall? Okay, first of all,
That's a sister.
and also, if you're not up at 8 in the morning, there's something wrong with you. I'm going to throw that out there. You got to be early riser for the win, right? I wouldn't, you know how much I would not get done if I woke up after 8 a.m.? 99% of everything
Not
in my
everybody's
life.
like you, man.
No, do I have it? No, I don't. All I have is to think about raw meat one. Damn it. It's fine. Yeah. Early risers, we just get more done. I don't want to like dunk on all the late night folks, but it is what it is. you
Early
know?
risers have their own issues too.
Christian, look at me. You don't think I have some issues?
That's what I said.
It's fine.
I'm not an early riser, even though I do rise earlier than 8 all the time, pretty much.
All the time, pretty much. Yeah.
Anymore?
It does something to you, though. I can see it in your eyes. I can see when everything is taken out of you and you're just exhausted. I need sleep. My son is climbing you like a jungle gym.
At least I'm useful for something, right?
No, that makes 2 of us.
I had to make him the moon today.
You had to make him the moon?
Yeah, which basically makes you have to hold him
Oh,
higher than I just knocked that mic.
wow. Who's Mike? Why are you knocking him?
Because we were talking about banging, man.
That's true. I guess we gotta
When in
open up.
Rome.
That's right. Anyway, okay, what was the sister bit? Ah, yes, of course. It was 8 in the morning. My sister would not be up at 8 in the morning knocking on the wall. Also, it was so loud, I was sure my parents would have woken up, and if my sister had been caught knocking on the wall, she would have been yelled at. So long story short, it wasn't her. I walked up to the wall, and the banging definitely sounded like it was coming from in the wall. Same 8 knocks, and then it would stop and start over. I went back in my bed, slightly unnerved, pulled up the covers, and tried to sleep, only to feel a finger trail down my neck slowly, right from the top to the base. I was going to do something really perverted there, decide not to. You're welcome, listeners. The finger then proceeded to drag across my shoulders from the left to right. Needless to say, I did not end up going back to sleep. I asked my family if they heard the knocking. They all said no. We have never had any issues with animals in the walls or anything, and we own no pets. This, along with things like the sounds of footsteps, doors slamming when no one is around, and the fact that my family also experiences similar occurrences, is the most recent of several incidents that have caused me to definitely lean towards the skeptical believer standpoint. If anyone has any theories, I'd love to hear them. Hey, here's a theory, dude. I thought it was a woodpecker for the first half of that story, and now I don't know.
Which kind of, I didn't even think woodpecker, but the ones out here in Alaska sometimes do.
The only reason I thought it was woodpecker because there was one woodpecking on the walls of Atlas's room once, and like, China's up there like, what is that sound? And I'm like, I'll go up there, I'm like, that sounds like a woodpecker. Like, that's the only thing I can imagine at 2 p.m. Like, I go outside, I see nothing, and I go to the other side, and then there's just a woodpecker just.
I need to get some owls. My first thought was, well, I have a couple of thoughts. The first one was ridiculous. It was the rats from the book Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim, which were scientifically studied or altered rats. This was a kid's book from back in the day.
This was a kid's book? If it were going kids option, I would have just said Ratatouille, It was Ratatouille.
No, the Rats of Nim were earlier than that.
Hmm.
And then I think it was an old, there was a movie based on the book called The Secret of Nim. I don't know how old that is, probably 30, 40 years now. But my other thought was, does this guy live in Ben Franklin's house? Because these ghosts in the walls are knocking.
Oh, yeah.
And if he's not paying attention, they're running a sexy finger up his throat.
Mm-hmm.
Which
when I first read that, I'm like, where's this? It was like down my neck. I'm like, where's this going?
I'm like, this sounds amazing.
That ghost popped his finger in my ass. No,
or my butt touching ghost is stepping out on me.
Wow, that sounds a little more likely. Has the dream died, Christian?
No, I still dream about that ghost.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's see. I got like 4 more stories, but we've talked for way too long, so we probably got time for like 2 of these.
I'll try to shut up.
I have one that I put that maybe I'll cut this one out because I don't think this one's true. And sometimes I'll put stories that I'm not certain are real just so I can dunk on them after the story's over. Back, I don't believe that. And everyone thinks I'll believe in everything. And is it a way for me to get more attention? Yes, and in a sense it is. Is it a way for everyone to fawn over how great I am and how fair and balanced, like Fox News, I am? like Fox, do they still? Is that still their thing? Or is that because I haven't watched Fox News since the late '90s? My dad had it on.
I basically block anything news related from all my feeds.
That's true.
So,
yep, I just make AI tell me, and I won't make it sound like a Jamaican. Well, it does it. So tell me recent news and do it in a Jamaican accent. At least it's entertaining. Man. You're like, okay.
You need to go with the Nigerian accent one time. A black.
Yeah, Nigerians got pretty good accents too. Just, anything but,
It just gets, American accents just get boring.
True. Anyway, so yeah, I'll skip over the one that I don't think is real, even though it was kind of a creepy story. I just didn't buy it. There's parts where I'm like, that seems far-fetched, And if I'm the one saying that seems far-fetched, then it seems far-fetched. Because I speak the truth. Anyway, we'll go with this one. It's called The Protective Ant, and it's by Top Sprinkles 6929. Me and my friend went out for a girls' night, and she slept over at my house. We were both in my bed, and she was asleep already. I looked into my doorway and saw a woman with long hair and a tattered dress, and she looked dripping wet. Straight horror movie vibe,
Oh, I was thinking a different vibe, but
wow,
okay.
Not that kind of dripping wet, Christian, you pervert. Anyway.
I wasn't thinking that. I was just like, ooh.
You're like, oh, maybe she was also wearing white. Is that what you're going for?
I'm just like, show me a sexy ghost.
Oh, you're going to get a sexy ghost, Christian, in TFD After Dark, and you're going to regret asking for that, all right? There's a lot of weird phrases I'm not comfortable throwing around out loud that I have to say in that episode whenever it comes out. It's fine. Anyway, so the tattered dress, long-haired woman was dripping wet. As soon as I saw her in the doorway, all of a sudden, she was in my face, like in an instant. My body jumped back and I held my friend and woke her up, telling her to hold me. The next day at work, I told her what happened, and she told me her aunt went missing years ago, and it's believed she drowned. She never told me this before, so I told her that her aunt is definitely looking after her, because that had to be who I saw that night. Freaked me out.
I was so confused. You're like, didn't you call this the helpful ants?
Protective ant.
I was like, seeing a bunch of marching ants, not that. No.
Yeah. So me and my friend were putting together an ant farm. No. And it had an alien in it. Alien ant farm. Nice shout out.
Smooth Criminal.
That's pretty much the only. No, I think one of the 3 good songs they had was.
That album was decent, but that song is one of the best remakes I've ever heard.
I think it's the best.
No, that's going too far.
Honestly, that one, maybe it's not as good as MJ's, but it's pretty damn close.
See, I don't compare the two. I think the way they did it is just so unique and so fun.
It was. I had so much fun.
Yeah, that it was You just don't compare the two, but I like both versions.
Interesting that you looked at me and said you don't compare the two when I said I just did, you know?
I was speaking you in general.
I am not a general, but I appreciate that.
Not in this life, maybe in a previous life.
I can't see that. I can't picture a world. Actually, I'd probably be yelling at people all the time, so that'd work. Just ripping it. Yeah, I can see it. I'm back. I'm back on board. Anyway, yeah, creepy. I don't like because it really has a horror movie vibe. The fact that you see this, and she said pretty much as soon as I saw it, it was right in my face. Like that fast motion, like 3 frames go by, and then suddenly, oh, it's 10 feet away. And then
did she blink?
That's probably what happened.
Because there's a character in Doctor Who that if you blink, they're like right there, and they're angels. They're statues of angels, but if you blink, they like get right up on you and kill you.
Well, that doesn't sound too angelic, but
it's not. It's creepy. Yeah, it's kind of a cheesy show, I'll admit, but that part's pretty terrifying.
Yeah. Well, everyone knows it's a cheesy show. I tried to watch it once, and I was like, well, okay, well, definitely not going to do this ever again. But on top of that, they're clearly stealing tropes from horror movies, no, with that? Because that happens in almost every horror movie you've ever seen.
Yeah, I got Ring vibes by that story.
Exactly. That's one of the best examples of it, for sure.
Also, one of the best horror movies, that original Ring.
Yeah.
I couldn't watch the other version, the Asian version.
Ringu or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that was worse. It was creepier.
Yeah, because you actually died when you watched it. That's what made it creepier. They're like, oh, they got to die.
I think you actually died when you watched the regular Ring.
No, I'm still here.
No, in the movie.
Oh.
I actually worked on a film with one of the stars in that film.
Wow, didn't know.
The one time I worked on a movie.
Ah, yes, of course. For everyone that didn't know, Christian was a B-list celebrity.
No, a production assistant for a really, like a D-list movie.
I saw one of my buddies that was the cinematographer for my show in Vegas. I saw he's doing like gaffer work, and he just did a music video with Jelly Roll. I was like, damn, dude.
So he's not doing good artists, at least. I'm just joking.
I think
a lot of people like Jelly Roll. I don't know anything about him.
I don't listen to his music. I love him as a person, though. I've watched a lot of his interviews, watched him in front of Congress and stuff like that.
Yeah, I make fun of him, but a lot of people love him, so I'll give him. That's
nice of you to allow people their
no,
flavor.
I mean, there must be something decent, like cool about him.
There is.
Yeah,
there is. Anyway, let's get into this next one called The Cranky Old Man.
I'm right here.
Yep, I'm right here.
I'm definitely not cranky. You're closer to Cranky Old Man than me.
I'm pretty cranky. It has been a day.
I had a moment, though, another moment like you in the car coming over here today when this person on this motorcycle was doing 20.
In a 45?
It was a 25. Still too slow.
Yeah.
You're on a motorcycle, a Harley.
At that point, don't watch out for motorcycles. At that point, 100% don't watch out for motorcycles.
I didn't want my insurance to go up.
Only happens if they see you, Christian.
It's daylight. Downtown Wasilla by the park.
If you say so. I don't know. I guess maybe I have more faith in you than you have in yourself. You didn't think about that, huh?
No, I did not. But I am a Christian.
You are a Christian. Anyway, this story is called The Cranky Old Man. It's by Pollyann 1209. Maybe I realized why we haven't done story episodes so long, because we have like nothing but tangents in them. And then like when there's structured episodes where I'm like, these are the 5 things I'm talking about, let's get into it. Then I feel like I'm like, oh, there's so much more information I have to get through. With these, I'm like, I'm just reading stories. I'm shooting the shit. I'm kicking my feet up. I'm sitting crisscross applesauce actually right now.
I wish I could sit that way right now.
Sit your robot knee. It doesn't let you do it.
It's been horrible for like the last month. And I realized just how much it hurts all the time lately.
Really?
And how much it, like, it's weird when you get that like constant pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had it before because I've always had bad knees, but I haven't had it in a few years till I heard it this time. And now I'm like, here comes surgery again.
When you go to the doctor?
Hopefully in the next couple weeks.
There you go. Yep, I have to go to the doctor too.
I don't know how I damaged a bionic knee, but I do move a lot.
Well, it's great news for humanity because apparently robots are destructible.
I feel like you've should have known that. We've all seen Terminator.
We have not all seen Terminator.
You've never seen any Terminator.
Nope.
The second one is
I know, Christian,
it's
I know.
a great sequel.
You didn't even have to say that, and I could have told you that Terminator 2 is your favorite.
It's my favorite action movie, probably. Up there with Gladiator, if that's considered action.
Found out Gladiator's all a lie, too. It's fine.
I always knew it was all a lie. The only even Marcus Aurelius, that's not how he died.
No, I'm talking like gladiators in general. Like, they didn't all fight to the death and whatnot. It was all pretty much staged in a play. And
Well, also, why would you kill off all your good investments?
well, because I thought it was the Wild West back then. Or the Wild... It's fine. We're not here for geography. Guys, The Cranky Old Man. It's Time by Pollyann 1209. I had a ghost. First sign was the fire alarm kept going off at all times of day or night. Had an electrician who disconnected it, but it still kept beeping. Every morning, my cooker knobs would be turned on, and I had a budgerigar. I think a budgie. She must be Australian.
It's a bird, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I can think is Flight of the Conchords. It's fine. And his cage door would be open even though it was so stiff. He can't have opened it himself. One day I came back from the shops. Budgie's cage door was open and the budgie was hiding under a stool. Then my ring was off my finger. Every morning when I woke up, I would find it at the bottom of the bed. It never came off before and hasn't since. At night, I could hear noises like someone was walking around my flat, and my mobile would ring in the middle of the night with no missed call or number. It came to a head one night when I was in bed and heard the taps running in the bathroom, and a fan, which wasn't plugged in and was stored on a shelf, was whirring round. Suddenly, a noise like a hurricane came, and I looked out of the window, but the trees weren't moving. The wind swept through my bedroom, howling around me. Then there was the night I jumped awake because someone was singing in my ear. So much happened, but I eventually got rid of him. Turned out he was an elderly man who had been murdered in the flat, and he didn't realize he was dead. Well, did you ask him? You know what I mean? Turns out it was this elderly guy. Hey, how'd you know? How do you know?
Most ghosts probably are.
They're just like, hey, I have no idea I'm dead and I'm a ghost. Write this down on Reddit. Tell your friends on Reddit.
It's got to be true.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could look into the history, but but even if someone died in that house, you're like, oh, yes, that was the man singing in my ear, you know?
I feel like looking into the history would be the starting point if you're going to post an experience.
Yes.
Like if I open a house and things start falling over, or there's banging on walls, or I see shadows, I'm going to look into the history of that house.
Why? If it's all in your head. Got him. We got him.
Because we have a podcast. Someone's got to do it. So and I'm always complaining about people not doing enough digging or getting photos of Bigfoot or these so-called UFOs. I mean, UFOs are a little bit understandable.
These so-called UFOs.
They're a little bit understandable because I can't even fucking take a picture of the moon with my phone.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Need to get you a Samsung is what people are going to be commenting. No. Samsungs can take pictures of the moon. Isn't that worth switching over? We can take pictures of the moon. Isn't that cool?
Yeah. One picture or two pictures a year of the moon, it's worth switching over when...
Hell yeah.
No, not to me.
Hell yeah. Anyway, guys, what a treat. What a treat this episode has been. We're going to close one out with EVP. Yeah.
Oh, my favorite.
Yeah. This one's pretty interesting. I'll say that. It's called Dad Says No. And it's by Murphy Brock. I was at my family home with my wife and realtor tying up loose ends prior to sale. They were in the kitchen and I was in the living room. My previous iPhone had the feature Memo on it, which was a sound recorder. For the first and last time in my life, I attempted to elicit an EVP by telling both of my parents that I loved them, I missed them, and asked if they were still there.
Wait. Please start that little part again. I miss them.
This dude is moving from his house. His wife and the realtor are in a different room talking. He pulls out his iPhone and he tries to elicit an EVP. Oh. And so he's asking his mom and dad if they're still there, saying that he missed them or loved them or whatever, and asked if they're still there.
Oh.
I heard nothing. After approximately 4 minutes and no response, I turned the app off. I walked around for over a week before playing the recording back. I'd forgotten about it. For the first 3 minutes, All that recorded were my statements and questions. After a 20-second pause, two voices clearly recorded. A man and a woman, with the woman very talkative. Classic. Classic stuff, right, Christian?
Yes.
Got him. He's sexist too. Anyway, this lasted 42 seconds. The man was less talkative and sounded like Dad. The woman was more difficult to assign to Mom. Uh-oh, Dad's stepping out on her. I played this to my wife, my son-in-law, my daughter, and a friend. All of them acknowledged the voices. They didn't comment much, except strangely my wife felt strongly that she recognized the woman's voice as my mom. I kept the recording for about 2 weeks, then deleted it. So no more attempts at EVPs by me. I haven't been myself since that, and that was 4 years ago. For the record, obviously my parents are deceased. Oddly, the only clear and definitive word that I could understand was my dad saying no to my question, "Are you here?" He answered it in the tone of voice he used when I'd have to wake him up from sleeping. No, get off me, no. Or something like that.
I feel like I don't even need to go into my thoughts on EVPs.
True. But you have attempted an EVP once in your life.
More than once.
Yeah. Maybe we should just start doing that.
I did have one time where it was years ago. And I was on a previous podcast trying to work on Cicada 3301.
Which you need to bring to this podcast.
I will. I have some stuff, but I want to connect it to what's going on in the world now. A black, maybe. But somehow I recorded something and it was just like this strange voice talking. But I think after initially being freaked out, I accidentally hit record on my phone without knowing about it. I don't know how it happened. I think it was my voice. It just didn't sound like my voice.
It was a little freaky.
It did freak me out at first.
Yeah. I know. Tony's notorious for having EVPs on his show during episodes. I don't know what to think about it.
I just think it's, if you just play an EVP to me, I'm just going to hear crap. But if you tell me what they're saying, I might be able to recognize it, which is the problem with EVPs.
Well, the thing is, whenever you're watching one of those shows, they have the subtitles that tell you what it says. So what you need really is me just to play audio and be like, what do you hear? And then me already hearing it, being like, this is what I think it said. Then you hear it and you say what you think. And then we're like, hey, turns out there's a ghost here. And we have a third host here.
That would make more sense to me. Because once I see that subtitles, I hear it. And then I'm like, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
I just heard it because I saw the words.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Hell yeah.
But I'd like to know, like, from our listeners, if they've had experience with EVPs that are convincing to them.
Yeah. Or any interesting experiences in college. Those as well.
Not any interesting college experiences.
Let the people experiment, Christian. I know you're living in the past. But
I'll let them experiment. That's for after dark.
That is for after dark, it turns out. Just like the rest of this episode.
Unless it's afternoon delight. That's during the day.
Yes. That is during the day, it turns out. In the afternoon. It says so right there in the lyrics.
Lyrics by who?
I can begin to tell you. All I think about is Arrested Development whenever I hear that, so. But that's all I got. I technically have another story, but it's too long, and I think it's fake. So we're going to close her out right here. Christian.
All the others were real.
Mm-hmm. That's the way it works, yeah. If I say one is fake, then that immediately means that all the others are real. Oh, I should mention on this show now, because I feel like people are gonna be wondering. You may have noticed that there is no new videos. There hasn't been new videos on the YouTube outside of the episodes for a little bit. We're taking a bit of a breather with Sleep with the Lights On, but it's gonna be coming back with another show as well. And those are both gonna be coming back in the fall. You know, like the CW used to do or whatever. Because nobody watches shit during the summer.
Not especially up here.
So, and there's literally, I would rather take the time to produce everything during the summer and release it in the fall with Sleep with the Lights On, and we're going to do 2 Truths and a Lie with the paranormal stories. That's going to be fun. Or just any story, I guess we could do. And so that's finally going to be fleshed out since we can't really do Strange Highness. We'll probably move that to a Patreon or something like that and just do it behind a paywall. so we avoid someone that stole our idea flat out and is wildly more successful than we are on YouTube, even though they only started out 2 months ago or whatever. It's fine, guys. We're getting out of here, and that's it. And next week, Christian's going to be talking about
Not really. We're going to talk about the Oklahoma City bombing and a controversial informant that may have been able to stop it.
Okay. All right, that's it. You guys found out now. The cat's out of the bag. You're welcome. You have it. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day / night / weekend. I forgot how to close this out again. Goodbye.
Bigfoot is stalking by your window. Dogman is scratching at your door. Ghosties are walking up and down your halls at night, and the Hat Man is coming back for more. Your name is Christian. You love a can of beans, and you're the wettest blanket skeptic this world has ever seen. You're almost always wrong. It's quite an impressive streaky. This song has rambled on too long. Welcome to the freaky deaky. Your name is Christian. You're named ironically because the only belief you have can be found in a can of beans. You're almost never right, and now you get roasted weekly. This song has rambled on too long. Welcome to the freaky deaky. Also, ghosts exist, just an FYI. Aliens are feeling blue. The Ouija demon's lonely 'cause they